And good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you are watching here in the Philippines or from all over the world. And welcome to my podcast, the RJ Ledesma Podcast. In my podcast, I interview the country's pioneering business personalities and entrepreneurs to learn more about how they think about doing business, what are their success secrets, and what can we learn from them? How have they innovated their businesses during this pandemic period, and more importantly, what opportunities do we see, or rather do they see emerging in this new normal? Now, is there a business personality or entrepreneur that you would like me to interview here on the podcast? Please let me know who they are. I would love to have them here on the show. Just drop me a message. We are also live right now on Kumu, CBRC TV, Global Pinas TV, and now the Bounce Back Network. And if you've been enjoying my podcast and you're learning a lot from it, do me a favor, please subscribe to it and invite more friends to listen to the RJ Ledesma Podcast. You can also catch us on YouTube. Tonight, let's talk about Axie Infinity. Now, for many people, it has become a way of life, but for many people in the more mature generation or the boomer generation, they actually have no clue what Axie Infinity is all about. So this is a chance for us to get up to speed on what's happening to Axie Infinity. So to all those Axie Infinity players listening right now, thanks so much for your support, because tonight we've got the Philippines lead for Axie. His name is Eniego, our Philippine lead for Axie Infinity. Now, prior to be working for Axie Infinity, he was the AVP for marketing for PDAX, which of course is under Michelle, who was a guest here previously on the podcast as well. Nix also founded the Social Media Academy, an online school that teaches the latest and most powerful social media marketing strategies for aspiring social media managers, and he founded that back in 2017. But more than that, Nix has an affinity for Axie Infinity because he was one of the top players of the game. Recently, he just announced that he will no longer be joining the competitive scene. So, swerte mga for those out there, you're lucky you've lost a very good competitor. Now, Axie Infinity is a Pokémon-inspired universe where anyone can earn tokens through skilled gameplay and contributions to the Axie Infinity ecosystem. Players can breed, battle, collect, raise, and build a land-based kingdom for their pets. Now, what is the future for Axie Infinity, particularly for the Filipino community that plays it not just here in the Philippines and even all around the world? And how does Nix's new role as the Philippines lead for Axie Infinity help more Filipinos? Let's learn more about him and Axie Infinity here on the RJ Ledesma Podcast. So please welcome Nix. Nix, welcome to the program.
Hi RJ. Thank you so much for having me.
So happy to
Yeah.
have you over here. And even before you started speaking, ang dami ng mga comments over here. Very excited guys talking to us here right now. Ayan, mga si Laya Garcia. Yon! John Bandaleria. Shout out, Lods.
Right.
Thanks so much for joining us. So here we got also um, Christian Gonzalez. Sir RJ talagang may business etiquette on time and live kahit walang pang viewers. Huwag ka maglala. Marami pong nakikinig dito ngayon pag ginawa na namin Spotify, Google, Apple Podcast. So that's really where we are. And to Lance Luis Caviteño, good evening. And Daryl Kevin Sanchez, nako, baka I like his a preview of what's to come. He's saying Axie Infinity Origin is coming. That's right.
No.
And of course, Nick, thanks so much for interacting with our audience. Thanks for watching. Like and share natin. Yes, please like and share tonight's program with all your friends who are watching this. Now, Nick, the first thing we want to talk about, and I know that many people who are listening to us here right now on the live version of the podcast here on Facebook understand what Axie Infinity is all about. But I hope you don't mind that if you take a step back, though, and try to explain, let's say, from a layman's perspective, what is Axie Infinity all about? And I often tell people, for example, I was to explain this to my 78-year-old dad. Ano ba yung Axie Infinity na yan?
Sure. I guess for layman's term, how I always say it is Axie Infinity is a fun card game where you could earn rewards if you win, right? Like, and those rewards could be come in the form of cryptocurrency, with our in-game currency called SLP and AXS. And if you play the game and you win, you play well, you could earn these rewards, which you could convert into peso, or if you live in another country, you could trade it in for your currency. So it's a game first and foremost, a game on the blockchain, right? It's an NFT game. So if NFTs are new to you, that's so non-fungible tokens. Like, that's a whole nother topic. But basically, an NFT game differs from an ordinary game. In the way that the assets that you have that you buy for in particular in Axie, they are yours. No, they are yours forever. Even if, of course, God forbid, like if Axie closes down, like or whatever, like forever those characters are yours. It lives on the blockchain. Versus like another game, like if let's say you play an MMORPG, they close down. Those assets, because they were never truly yours. Once the server shut down, it's kind of like, don't have any proof that you own this or you've done that. So that's where blockchain or NFT games shine at the moment, because you truly own your assets with Axie Infinity.
Okay, so that's actually a lot to take in, and thanks very much for trying to encapsulate what Axie Infinity is, no. But let's sort of break it up into different segments. I hope you don't understand. Hope you don't mind. First, it's
Sure.
the game. It's the game segment, and I think people need to understand what kind of game are they actually
Yeah.
playing, because I come from the generation between, let's say, Boomer and Gen X to Millennials. So I came up with a generation where sort of like where the parents were saying, you are, you're not being productive playing games. Where will it get you? Nowadays, playing games is actually a multi-billion career that you can do here right now. No, so help me understand the game part. What kind of game are they playing? So people know.
Sure.
For those who've never played Axie Infinity before, what is that game?
Sure. If you're familiar with Pokemon, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
familiar with Pokemon, especially Pokemon card games, the Pokemon TCG, trading card game, I would say that's the closest comparison. No. First and foremost, it's a card game where you have a set of three axes. Those are your characters. No? So if you're thinking Pokemon, you're thinking Pikachu, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur, Charmander. No, you have those.
Okay,
You have
okay.
and those three axes that you have, they would have different classes and different skills, right? Different cards. So you would face versus another player that has another set of three axes. So maglalaban kayo in a round-based card game where you have your different skills, ilalatag mo yun, and then you would be able to inflict damage to your opponent's axes, and then whoever has the last axis standing basically wins, right? Sino may natirang buhay. That's how Axie is. So, and similar to Pokemon, like some classes, they have skills that are stronger versus another. For example, in Pokemon, fire attacks are strong against grass type Pokemon, no? And actually, like aqua skills are strong versus beast characters or beast class, for example. So that's the game itself. Yun yung nature ng game.
Okay, so that's the nature of the game. I understand. Now they often call this a game that's play to earn. So from game to play to earn, tell us exactly what does it mean when you say play to earn.
Sure. No,
Because
I
you
think
can play for free, right? There's games that you can play right now online that are just you don't earn money, but it's
yeah.
really fun, diba? How's the earning component come in? Oh,
Right. So Axie has its own kind of like its own digital economy. Right? It functions in a way where it is its own digital nation. We have two main tokens or two currencies in the game. You have your SLP or Smooth Love Potion, which is the utility token. It is used to breed more Axies. So the purpose of SLP is to breed more Axies. So you breed more Axies, you put it in the marketplace so people could buy it, right? They could buy the Axie, they could play, right? New players can buy from there. Um, Now, what's the other token? It's called AXS, right? Or
mm-hmm.
Axis, AXS. It's the governance token of Axie Infinity. It has more plans, that'll be unveiled in the future onto what it can do. But those are the two main things, right? So if you play right now, if you play Axie and you have your own three set of Axies and you win a battle versus another player, you would earn SLP, right? You would earn SLP every win, and that in itself, SLP could be converted into money, into cash if you wanted to. While others who earn it, they use it to breed more Axies. And then what they do with those Axies is either they use it for themselves or they also sell it on the marketplace so they can also profit. So there are many ways where people actually earn from the Axie Infinity ecosystem. Before and lastly, AXS, right? And you mentioned earlier, like there are a lot of games that people play it for fun, but they don't really earn anything, right? And that's actually a good point because in other games, in traditional games,
Mm-hmm.
only 0.01% of people can actually earn anything. Meaning that 0.01% are pro athletes, right? Pro esports players
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
popular streamers. That's the only way, right? But with Axie, we actually have a leaderboard system where the top players every season get rewarded with AXS, which is high value that they could either keep it or they could sell it as well. So this season alone, we're giving away around 7 to 8 million US dollars in
Wow.
rewards AXS for players who would qualify in the leaderboards.
Okay, so right now we've explained the play to earn portion, and this part becomes a bit more. Hi, Christian Gonzalez. Yeah, but different. Hindi mukhang masungit. Thanks, so Christian, for the feedback over there. Now, this becomes a trickier part here now to explain how does the earning come. Now, this gets into the part where it's an NFT and it's on the blockchain, right? So it's a game on the blockchain where you earn NFT. So let's step back a bit more and then explain a bit more what does it mean that this game is on the blockchain and that's why it earns.
Yeah. So that's always hard to explain. Like blockchain in itself, there's like it's
Okay,
very
so
good, right?
let's go blockchain first. I hope you don't mind.
Right,
I've
right.
had several guests on the show. Just as a disclaimer, I've had several guests on the show try to explain things in the most layman like possible way, and each explanation is nice. It's all just different. So, what's your best sort of like analogy to explain what the blockchain is?
Well, blockchain for me is a ledger. It's a ledger of the world where like things are recorded, right? Like basically siya yung historian mo. Like if it happens in the blockchain, blockchain records it. If a transaction happens in the blockchain, it is recorded, it can be verified. It's proof. There's proof, no? It can be verified, right? Because example, binigyan ko si RJ ng 100 pesos. Inabutan ko siya kunwari ng 100 pesos kanina. Inabot ko lang. Pwedeng sabihin ni RJ na binigyan ko siyang 100. Pwede ko i-deny na binigyan ko 100 pesos si RJ. Diba? Sabihin ko, hindi ko binigyan yan. But if we did the transaction in the blockchain, right? If we passed it from my MetaMask wallet to his, right? That is that is verifiable information. It'll be forever. It cannot be doctored. It cannot be, that is there's proof of that. Um, So Axie is actually in the Ronin sidechain, which is, again, this might get complicated. So Ethereum is the main network, but Ronin is like is a layer two or side chain of of Ethereum. So Ronin was developed as well by Sky Mavis, the creators of Axie Infinity. So we created
Mhm.
our own blockchain basically, so that we have no limits in terms of how we can scale the game. Kasi pag minsan pag nasa iba kang, if you're in another blockchain or you're relying on another service provider, gawin nating web 2, di ba? Kunwari website mo naka-host sa ibang provider, tapos pag nag-down yun, di ba? Wala kang magawa, right? Like you might you get frustrated. So Sky Mavis, in order for us to not have those problems, so that we are the captains of our own ship, we created Ronin, so that we have our own can operate on our own blockchain.
Okay, so right now you're on the blockchain, so that just basically means all the characters which you have, there's a ledger that you own, that or that you created a character that appears on the blockchain, correct?
Yes, yes,
Great.
hundred
So
percent.
that and the character will never disappear. Unlike if you were playing a non play to earn game, your character can't technically disappear, or
True.
you cannot own it anymore.
That's true. I'll give a concrete example. I mean, I
Please,
played
please.
Ragnarok. I played Ragnarok online all my life. There have been many servers that have opened and closed, and I've played in all of them. I don't have any access to any of them anymore. I don't know. Like, I even if I remember my username and password, there's no way for me to log in somewhere. There's no way for me to reminisce. So unless I still have pictures of that, I have
That's right.
no memories of that. Right?
Uh-uh. And I remember before we had the show also, JV Fernandez, the guys who handle naman Anito Legends, the new, it's also a new play to earn game that's coming up. But how we did explain was that, before, how you people used to think of play to earn was that you play a character for somebody else and go to higher levels in a game. It was an
Right.
informal way of earning money, nothing on a blockchain, but rather
True.
you're earning out of the blockchain. It's like you're just saying, oh, can you play my character and go to this level, and I'll pay you for that one, or I'll pay you to give me some
Yeah.
accessories in a particular game. And that was the old way. And I guess that the
Yes.
Sky Mavis people saw that as a sort of an inspiration moving forward. Now, oh, hey, there's ways to make money over here. Now, having said that, where does NFT come into play? How do non-fungible tokens come into play in this game? And if you don't mind, you might have to do a bit of explanation lang for what an
Sure.
NFT is. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, no. So actually, your Axis, the cute characters that you might have seen it, even if this is your first time hearing it, I'm sure maybe you've seen the pictures of it. To those who are listening, the Axis themselves, they are NFTs, right? An Axie is an NFT, right? It is your own digital pet. It is your own digital asset. You own that Axie, right? So that Axie, in the future, that Axie that you own can be used for many, many more things apart from just the game that we currently have, right? So we have game modes such as land gameplay, which will launch in the near future, where it's kind of like a cross between your Farmville slash Animal Crossing slash Stardew Valley kind of game.
Mhm.
And then we also have this Axie Builders program, where other game developers, independent game developers and game studios, they are creating games also on top of the Axie Infinity IP, so that there will be more games. So that Axie that you buy, for example, that you own today, you could use it for many, many more things,
So the
rather
Axie
than
that you
just
get,
one
that's an
game.
NFT. The Axie which you get is an
Yes,
NFT.
yes,
So that's your
and it
non-fungible
serves
token. Oh,
it serves as like your ticket to different things in the Axie Infinity universe.
and to make it sort of like, I was gonna make an analogy. So I'm not a big gamer nowadays, but like my son has a Nintendo Switch, and there's a character, like say it's where the 64 characters are there, and then it's like saying this character can play in different environments.
Yeah, yeah,
That's exactly what
that's
Axie
the goal.
Infinity is, right? Your
That's
character
the
can play
goal.
now in different game environments which you open up. Is that right?
Yes, yes, that yeah, and right now there's only one, but there are more coming soon,
I see.
which will make that exactly very accurate.
Okay. And then now, can you help us better understand also as well? And I hope it, for again, for people listening for the first time, they're going, "Wow, I didn't know all this." No, what exactly is a non fungible token?
Okay, so that's hard. Like, there's so many definitions of that, but it's actually you can think of it as like a digital asset that you truly own, right? Like, in layman's term, that's it. What do I mean by truly own? Like, I keep saying it, right? But the thing is, like, most things in online, you don't really own them, right? Like, let's say shucks, now that I've been in the NFT space for so long, I don't even know what other non NFTs are.
Oh,
Let's say you buy. Let's say you go to Google and then you search for a. This might be a bad example, but let's say you go to Google and you search for a picture of the Leaning Tower of. Let's say picture of Mona Lisa, for example,
mhm,
right? That picture you Google on Google Images. That's, you could save it, right? You could right click save it on your computer, but that's not really yours, right? You're just literally getting it from Google, and someone else uploaded that, so someone else actually technically owns that, right? But like an NFT, if for you to truly own it, it means you minted it. That transaction of you purchasing it or acquiring it is recorded on the blockchain, which therefore verifies that you own that particular asset. So that's like what an NFT is. No, so in the context of Axies, the Axie that you buy, right, on the marketplace, or that you breed, right? Kunwari, mas gusto mo mag-breed ka, ikaw gagawa ng sarili mong Axie. That is yours, and that Axie is truly yours and unique. There will be no other Axie like him, right? Maaring meron siyang kamukha na skills, mayroong ibang, there might be other Axies that have the same skills, same
mhm.
color, but there will be no one else with that, say, that serial number. Like, he was the Axie, he was the 500,754 Axie that was born, right? So that's him, no one else, and that's a verifiable on the blockchain. So yeah, that's at least in Axie, that's like the context of it, like an NFT. It's a digital asset, right, that you truly own.
So your character is a digital asset which you truly own. It's an NFT that you truly own, and it's on the blockchain.
Yeah. It is not
Okay.
owned by that is not owned by Sky Mavis. It's not owned by Axie Infinity. You could use it. You could if you like, we have players who created stories around their Axies. So there are mystic Axies which are very expensive. Some of them who they kind of make it like their own Pikachu, where they do
Mhm.
some market around it. They even create merch around it. So yeah, that's that, because that's their asset. They can do as they please with it.
Okay. Now, so it's a play to earn. In other words, it's competitive. So when they go there and then they beat somebody over there, that's how they earn more cryptocurrency. Is that right?
When you win, yeah, you earn your rewards, SLP or AXS, yeah.
Got it. And then when you win, so you get, it's either you, when you win, you can breed more, and when you sell it, you also get more cryptocurrency. Or when you win, you also get cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's true. Like, it depends on how you want to play it, right? So there are people who play the breeding game. They breed more Axies, so that they breed Axies that are really good in arena. Which better Axies, or the stronger Axies, they have a higher market. They have a bigger market, like, because top players want the better performing Axies. So there's money to be made in the breeding aspect as well. While there are players who gun for like top spots, top leaderboard slots, because the higher you are in the leaderboards, the more access rewards that you get as well, and of course your daily SLP grind. There are coaches also. Like, there are people who teach others how to play well in arena, or teach people how to breed, or the economics of the game. So there are a lot of other opportunities within the ecosystem as well.
Okay. And basically, these characters, your NFT token earns cryptocurrency, right? And then how
Yeah.
do they? So the idea is that, and I know cryptocurrency is another big thing. Sorry, because everything's go one by one. But basically, how does it become money? What is cryptocurrency for those, again, for the first timers? Simplest explanation, Nick, of what the analogy for cryptocurrency is, lang.
Well, some people call cryptocurrency as the like new money, but well, cryptocurrency is, again, it's also it's a new form of currency on the blockchain, and there are different kinds of cryptocurrencies. The safest way for you to learn more about them is to read up on Bitcoin and Ethereum, because those are like the two, I'd say, two main cryptocurrencies. So if it's your first time like hearing about cryptocurrencies now, I would suggest like reading more about it, because it could be a very dangerous situation if you start just like investing on crypto right away. But yeah, it's the future. It's where money is headed, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, that's right. And but while we're talking about that, I don't lose track, but some nice comments coming out over here from Daryl Kervin Sanchez. Tama ba yung kanyang digital money equals crypto digital item equals NFT.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good comment.
That's a good sort of like mathematical equation for equality
Yeah,
over there.
yeah,
And then
digital money.
Jose Ramon Rusta saying, is it like a stock certificate but digitized? Is that how you would talk about it, or how you think about it?
Kind of. I mean that can also be a good example for those who are in more the traditional sense. Yeah.
So, when you generate cryptocurrency, and I know there are a lot of people playing here in the Philippines right now, how do they transform that right now to fiat currency, or money that they can use?
If you play Axie,
Yeah, yeah. How do they actually translate the money? Let's say when they earn cryptocurrency.
right?
For the people, for the first timers, they're thinking, okay, I got this cryptocurrency. How do I start turn that into money that I can use to buy things over here? Do they turn that to fiat
Right.
currency, or do they keep it in cryptocurrency?
Right. So there are platforms, cryptocurrency exchanges that people could use or sign up for, so that they could transfer their earnings from Axie, for example, and they could send. For example, they played Axie for a month, and they farmed. Let's say they were able to farm 5,000, 10,000 pieces of SLP, and they're like, okay, I wanna get some profits. I wanna convert some of this. So you would have to sign up for like a crypto exchange, for example, like a PDAX or a Binance, right? So
Like PDAX? Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Excellent.
like
Yes. Good plug.
yeah.
Hi, Michelle. If you're listening, PDAX. Shout out to
Right,
PDAX.
so you could send it over. Like specifically, PDAX would be very simple, because you could send over your earnings there, your SLP, directly to PDAX, and eventually you could cash it out into fiat, or into actual cash, to Gcash or Union Bank or whatever. Yeah, with barely any fees. Actually, there's less than 15 pesos, I think, is the total damage.
And then also, is that money bees also can be used? Can you also get it out of money bees?
I think Moneybees is like an OTC. I think they have like bigger transactions. If I'm not
I
mistaken, I
see.
think Moneybees is a OTC platform. So you could use your PDAX, you could use your coins, you could use Binance, you could
Okay.
use Bybit. Yeah, almost every legitimate cryptocurrency exchange has SLP and AXS on their listings.
You've been playing for quite some time, and I want to talk a bit more about that. But then, anecdotally, can you just share what is the most that somebody's got withdrawn from a cryptocurrency turned to fiat currency at one time? Now you found, wow, he made that much in playing Axie Infinity.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, last year was very crazy. So before I like go deeper there, I just want to emphasize in this interview, or that Axie Infinity and crypto in general, right? Crypto in general, it is very volatile. It is risky. There is some
Hmm.
risk
Hmm.
involved, and there's something where we call growth cycles or market cycles, where sometimes you're gonna be really way up. Sometimes you're gonna be down. Sometimes you're gonna be in the middle. Sometimes you're gonna go up again. So that's something that going into not just Axie, into crypto, you have to like understand, right, before getting your feet wet, right? So that's what I would say. Now, last year, I'd say the first real cycle, high growth cycle of Axie Infinity happened, and there were reports. I mean, there were like, I've seen it. I think that's like, there was even like a Jessica Soho documentary on it, where someone was able to buy a house just after just playing
Wow.
Axie, right? Um, my personal experience, like my best month playing Axie was like, I'm not gonna say like how much, but like it was very significant. Like it was way 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 above like any like daily average monthly salary. But that was like when we were in that hyper growth cycle, right? So there have been crazier stories. Someone like was able to buy a house, buy a farm, buy a real plot of land. It's actually very fun to see.
Wow. How about those watching us here right now? Tell us if you got any Axie stories here right now. What of how much has been able to benefit you, and I guess after you're able to use the money from Axie Infinity. Now, with all that, having said all that, no, just give me an idea of just how big the Axie Infinity community has grown here in the Philippines from when you guys started out to where it is right now. Just how many people are playing right now Axie Infinity?
Yeah, I think so that's a really good question. And to be honest with you, there has been like a slight decline in terms of overall player base. That comes with I think the Axie Infinity economy is not where it's not in the best state right now. We are I'd say earlier I was saying like there was like the hyper growth cycle. Right now we are like in that a little bit
You're
there.
plateauing. Is it plateauing? Sort of plateauing a bit.
Well, so here's my answer there. Like the reason I'm struggling to answer is because intentionally, like we have not intentionally been trying to acquire new users in the current
Mhm,
game version, if that makes
mhm,
sense.
mhm,
Because we are looking, our eyes are set towards Axie Infinity Origin, which is
mhm.
a new game mode that is coming out very, very soon. And that is when we will be basically that's when we'll start turning on the switches on the growth engine and the marketing engine, and we're gonna be growing. So in some ways we intentionally like stop trying to acquire users, if that makes sense, like because we want the new players who will be coming in and experiencing Axie. We feel that it's best that they join us in that ride with when Origin is out, because Origin offers a free to play game mode where they don't even have to pay for just to play the game. So that's kind of like the allure there. But currently they're like around 2 million daily active
Wow.
users. And the majority of the I won't say majority, but a big chunk of them are actually from the Philippines.
So when you say originally, if you don't mind me clarifying for those who might not be familiar, um, was did Axie Infinity start off as free to play? Then eventually you had to pay to enter the game. Diba? I mean,
Um,
kumbaga parang it's like playing the casino. Some you have to there's a price of entry before makalaro ka, diba?
yeah. So actually, no. Like when Axie started, like it was always kind of like you had to buy Axies for you to be able to play it. It was that was the original game format. But with Origin coming out, people can start for free, and then they could just decide to, if they want to upgrade, buy upgraded Axies, then they can.
Okay. Parang slightly different business model yung Axie Origin from Axie Infinity. Is that correct to say that?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it could be like I think because before, well, the biggest difference is that before there was no free to play option, but now there is a free to play there will be a free to play version. So I
I
think that's
see.
the only difference. The rest is still the same, but different game, obviously, I mean, different graphics and different game mechanics, but everything remains, like the breeding component, the marketplace, like the other stuff will still be there.
But like you said, since it's on the blockchain, your characters are actually on the blockchain, they can also the Axie Infinity people can also still participate in Axie Origin.
Yes, yes. So like the Axies that they bought, like that's a good example. So even the Axies from the current version, which is the classic version,
Mhm.
they can still be used for Origin. Like nothing changes. They can still use those
Fantastic.
characters.
So now knowing this so far, no. So I hope people have a better understanding now. So for those who playing Axie, I'm sure you're going. I know all this one. It's intuitive or something I know, but for the first timers, they're going. Okay, so this is how it actually goes. And I guess right now because you've had to buy the characters at the start, no. Are these why they develop what they call scholars for the game because you need people to start playing off and they need money to start playing the game, I guess, or to start participating in the game. And can you help us better understand how is it? How was the ecosystem or the economy for Axie? How did it evolve right now?
Right. So good thing. That's a good point where you mentioned the scholarship program. So actually, scholarship program. For those who are, maybe new to this, it's not a scholarship where we send a person to school. Okay. So it was actually developed by the community, like the OG community members, the pioneer gamers in Axie. What they did was they realized that, okay, I have a bunch of Axies, but I don't have unlimited time to play, right? Like you only have so much time in a day, and you can't create multiple accounts because actually that's not allowed. That's multi-accounting is a bannable offense. So you have so many access. What do you do, right? So they were like, okay, maybe I could give this to someone. I could lend this to someone, and he can play the my axes and play that, and then we could share the profit, right? Like they could be 50-50, 60-40 agreement depending on their arrangement. So that's like how the scholarship model was born. The manager who owns the axes will lend the axes to a player who maybe has doesn't have the budget yet to buy his own axes, so they but could still play and earn, and then eventually he can that scholar can graduate, right? The idea is for the scholar to graduate into becoming an Axie Infinity owner as well, like having his own Axies. So that was really a big big lever for growth for Axie Infinity.
Uh, just to ask, no, so there are people, they can't actually afford to, or it's not in their budget to be able to get an Axie character. Just how much is how much is it to start off? If you're to think of it from fiat terms or cryptocurrency
Yeah.
terms.
Well, right now, so actually, this is where it gets interesting. Earlier, I was talking about the growth, the hyper growth cycle. During that time, it was very expensive to buy Axis because the prices of the tokens were also very high, right? So the market was also reacting to that. Um, but now, now it's actually very cheap or like affordable to get started. You could buy a decent set of Axis for like 7,000 to 10,000 pesos total to start. It could actually even be lower. Let me try to calculate. Could even be 40 times times three. Yeah, it could even be like 6,000 or something. If you know if you 6,000 pesos for a set of three. If you know what you're looking for, if you can buy good axes. So there are axes that are more expensive because they're more popular because top players are using them on streams and stuff like that. But you could also be creative and build your own for cheaper.
Okay, John Bandalaria is saying over here 15,000 is the sweet spot. Thanks, John, for the feedback. O yeah, pakishow naman yan, Clark. 15K is the sweet spot. And a question over here from Michael Sikat saying, is it okay to acquire more Axis now while they're still priced way, way lower now, or wait for the Axie Origin to be released? Oh, good. That's a good question. That's actually a very good question.
That's a good question. But let me try to answer this for you, Michael. As as a member of the team, like I can't really give you financial advice. However, like uh, technically we can't, but what I can say, what I can say is if you if you want to lately, just for everyone's information, we've been sharing the new cards that will be releasing for Origin. So the vaccines that they have now, they can still use, but their skills will be different. Like what they could do different in
like guilds, are there people like who also put together groups that help them improve? I guess guilds are for people to improve their skill set because that's what guilds are for, right? Are there also can you help us better understand what are these guilds that are also being put up?
the guild system.
Yes.
Yeah, well, now like guilds have become like their own like entity. They're like it is an entity and like a business on its own. Like a guild is basically now a business where they have assets. They produce assets. They buy assets or they breed axes or they go into other games and they have an army of players or scholars that
I
will be
see.
or willing to play, and they share profits. So it is like it is like a scholarship program at scale. So that's guilds are functioning. But there are smarter guilds now who are trying to be bigger and better, like than that, like business model where you see guilds like YGG. They're really changing the game in terms of how guilds operate. They're producing a lot of content. They're doing media. They're doing like tournaments and all that. So I think that's the future of guilds, at least in the NFT gaming
Got
space.
that. Got that. Now, we were talking earlier on about Axie Infinity. You said there about how many players are there altogether worldwide?
Well, I think there are over 3 million. I think there are close to 4 million people who own Axis. So that's like, but the daily active players is I think 2 million.
A million. And then how
Two
many
million.
are 2 million? And how many of those players, I guess, of Axie worldwide, how many of them are Filipino or based here in the Philippines?
The last, I think the last number I heard was 60 something percent is from the Philippines.
Wow.
I haven't checked again, but that's the latest that I know of.
Can you help me understand why why it became so popular over here in the Philippines? Why did it become so big and something that people latched onto over here?
Well, I think there are two reasons. Like I think that I'd say there are two things. Right. Number one, it is we kind of introduced something that hasn't been done before, right? Like uh before, if you wanted to play games, sure, you could maybe download it for free, or if it's like a console game, you pay what, 500 pesos or 3,000 to up to 3,000 pesos to buy the CD on Data Bliss, and you could play. But the idea of being rewarded for your time, where actually instead of you spending buying skins to look cool in game, uh, versus actually this time you're, instead of paying for that, you're playing, and if you play well you get rewarded, right? So I think that was the biggest thing. Filipinos are huge gamers. I think Philippines
Mhm.
is a really big gaming country, right? I think let's put that out first. We're a big gaming country. And when we saw that there is this game that I could actually play and then I could earn something along the way, that was a big hit, or a big light bulb for moment for Filipinos. I think that's the first one. And the second reason, I think, is because Axie in itself, Axie Infinity, the game itself, it is it is uniquely created. If it is uniquely created in a way where, if you look at it, the first thing you think is like it feels like Pokemon, but then it's also different. But that familiarity, that it feels familiar to Pokemon, I think really helped capture the hearts and the attention of people, because it kind of feels like Pokemon, but it's
Mhm.
different. It works in a different way, and it's actually cool and cute and
Because you're
like
making money. I mean,
yeah.
that for me, that's
Right? So those are like the two things I think that helped put a lot of attention and got people really into Axie.
wow. This has been a great crash course in Axie Infinity over here. Now let's take a step back, Nix, if you don't mind. And I often tell people here that when we think about business, especially entrepreneurship, is that we sort of look at the pain point of or the unmet opportunity or something that was spotted by the entrepreneur, which made him want to create this idea. And you being the Philippines lead of Sky Mavis, which is Axie Infinity, I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations with the developers, with the owners.
Yeah.
What is the pain point that they were trying to address when they originally created it? Where did the idea for this Axie Infinity come from for a play tour like this one?
Yeah, the big mission, or like the big pain point, is truly it's really the it's really the ownership of your gaming assets, right? Because in traditional gaming doesn't let you do that. Like, you own nothing if you play traditional games like that. Literally, you own nothing. Like, the skin that I will buy on Fortnite, that's not mine. Like, that's like, technically it's not yours. So the big pain, or the big thing that I actually wanted to tell, was that, hey, we're gonna create this fun game where you get to control, like, where you get to own your assets, and you could do and you can have unlimited or infinite experiences with them, right? So that's why the name is Axie Infinity, like because there will be infinite experiences, infinite game modes that will be coming out, right? So um, it's a commitment basically to the people. And then the second, like part of that mission is to give back to the community. So most game publishers, when they make revenue, it goes back into their wallets, right? It's all on them. It's theirs, right? Um, but with Axie, the money is actually going back to the community. So Skybave is just like takes a small portion of the marketplace fees, and part of that like goes the majority of it goes back into the community. So that's like the big difference between like a traditional game and a game like Axie Infinity, and that was what we wanted to solve. We basically give the power back to the people, give the money, give the power, give the freedom back to the gamers, not to the big publishers.
Okay. And then, why did they think of developing this sort of format for a game? Like, diba? I mean, the first pain point they were saying, okay, you can't own your character. So they said, okay, let's do it this way. Why did they think that the best way to develop something where you could earn an NFT would be a game? I mean, they could have thought of other things. Why did what was the logic for them
Yeah.
to approach it in this way?
Well, I think gaming is the kind of like the best way to onboard people into the blockchain, in my opinion.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
because there are, I think, 3 to 4 billion gamers in the world. And when I say gamers, I use that very loosely. It also counts our mommies and titas and lolos and lolas who play Candy Crush. They're gamer, right?
Okay.
So
Okay,
there are
got
three
it,
to
got it.
four billion gamers in the world, and it's just so much easier to onboard people into this space through games. Like it's a mass adoption basically through gaming.
Wow. Very interesting. Very interesting how you think about it. And why did they choose particularly what I would say a Pokemon inspired card game as the best game as to start this off? I mean, they could have done other formats, other types of games. But why choose this format to do this one?
Well, that actually I'm not sure, but Axie Infinity was I think inspired a lot by Pokemon, and also like an early crypto project called CryptoKitties. But I don't know like specifically why it was was Axie. Maybe the answer lies in her with her CEO. I'm not sure.
Okay, this is very interesting. Now let's go a little bit into your background, Nix, because I know that you've had your own entrepreneurial background, and then you worked for PIDAX, and eventually you went to work with Axie Infinity. How did you end up, from being a player to becoming somebody working for Axie Infinity?
Well, yeah, no. So I started playing Axie in June of last year. The moment I downloaded it, I immediately fell in love with the game because I've been a big Pokemon, fan ever since. So it feels familiar, but it's still different. And I played the Pokemon card game as well, competitively as a teenager, as a young teen. So that really connected with me, and I just played it. I love playing it, and as a player and someone who is knowledgeable or has knowledgeable, I guess, in or experience in social media, I knew that it would make sense for me like to create content around Axie because I didn't really want to be a content creator, but like I just I was busy with PDAX obviously, but I part of me wanted to document my gaming journey, right? So I was climbing the leaderboards, I was hitting like top 30 in the leaderboards, and I was sharing that online, and then eventually Axie Infinity team noticed me, and like they connected with me, and like just chatting here and there, sharing insights. I was sharing insights as well, not just gameplay. I was sharing, what I think about the economy, how we could solve things. So I was just being an active member of the community
Hmm.
basically,
Hmm.
and the team noticed that, and yeah, we had conversations about this opportunity. So that's how that's how it went, how it happened basically.
Well, JV Fernandez, Fanito Line is commenting here right now. Pogi host and Pogi guest. Nice seeing your show becoming the mainstream gateway to crypto and blockchain newbies. All right, thanks so much, JV. JV, if you were listening earlier on, I was quoting you actually when he was explaining, when he was trying to explain the blockchain. I want to tell you next, JV gave one of the most, I guess, down to earth explanations for blockchain, for crypto, and play to earn and non fungible tokens the other time. You should, if people are listening here right now, pick up the go back and watch the Anito Legends podcast together with JB. Really great story over there. Now, when you went forward and especially with this one, I want to ask the Axie Infinity creators, are they is it out of Vietnam? Are they where is it based out of?
Yeah, the founders, the founders are in, it originated in Vietnam. But we're spread out across the globe basically.
Wow. So now it's a game that you can play all over the world, and a lot of people are getting into it. And right now, you did mention that you're coming up with a newer game called Axie Origin for more people to play, which is free to play, and eventually you can. It's a freemium. You can upgrade yourself once you get there. Um,
Right?
from both the perspective of Axie Infinity and Axie Origin, I often say that there are many ways. You saw so many great opportunities emerging for people to work within that ecosystem, right? As entrepreneurs, there are emerging opportunities to be part of that one. You did mention, the scholars, the guilds. That's just part of the ecosystem that the people can get into. What are you seeing as the other emerging opportunities that people can still get into, particularly in this play to earn space?
Yeah, no, I think that's the beauty of this space. There's so many things, so much we can do, right? I see people who create art, right? They create Axie art and they post that on Twitter, they post it on social media, and then they get commission, right? Like I actually have my Twitter profile picture and my cover photo. I
Mhm.
actually paid someone. I paid like an Axie Infinity, like an artist that I met through the community for that, and that's one way, right? Like you'd also there are people also starting podcasts, right? Like this and like content, videos and vlogs about Axie, and they're creating that as well. There are people who are creating a channel or content channel, analyzing play to earn or play and earn NFT gaming, and they're also making money from that and getting brand deals from that. We have Axie Infinity creators who we have helped both directly and indirectly get brand deals and opportunities
Wow.
to for sponsorships. And there are people also who host tournaments, so anyone can actually host their own like Axie Infinity tournament. If you want to be a tournament organizer, if you want to be a shoutcaster, if you want to become a professional esports analyst or shoutcaster, you can actually do that as well, and we allow that. We let people do that. And some of them have gotten discovered and have landed deals as well. There
Wow.
are coaches. What else? There are people who create music. So it is becoming, a Lunasia, which is the world of Axie. It's becoming its own digital nation, and I think that's really very interesting to see. And I remember last year we had this typhoon here in the Philippines.
Mhm.
The
Odette.
Odette, right? So
Mhm.
when Odette happened, like literally when that happened, it was pure devastation. Axie Infinity, literally like the founders and the community basically, I'd say we're one of the first people or one of the first teams to respond and send help. Right, I was not a member of the team yet during that time, but I was like helping out as well and in coordinations and stuff. And when we saw that, and like there was millions of pesos donated from the team and from the community
Wow,
members.
millions of pesos coming from the Axie Infinity community. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
yes, I don't know the exact, but it's definitely north of 10 million. Like it's a big amount.
Wow,
Uh,
that's incredible.
yeah, and when that happened, it wasn't even the amount. It was like I actually remember I tweeted out something, and again, I wasn't part of Axie yet, but I tweeted out something that it's kind of ironic that the first country or the first nation to help the Philippines is actually Lunasia or Axie, like it's a digital nation. Because the moment that happened, like literally, the Axie Infinity community, because most of the players are from the Philippines, the scholars, like everybody knew what was happening in the Philippines, right? The managers, the guild leaders, the Sky Navy's team. So the response was immediate. Like literally, everyone was out sending out help, and it was really beautiful to see, and it was just a testament to what has been created here. Like Axie Infinity is more than just a game at this point. Like it's a lifestyle. It's a family, and we're super proud of that, and we want to continue doing that for many years to come.
Thanks a lot, Nick, for that. And we're just curious right now as we talk. I mean, you're seeing really the big opportunity in the crypto space because that's where you are in the NFT space. But for example, you weren't doing what you were doing here right now because you're seeing a lot of different opportunities. What opportunity would you be pursuing? Because I mean, because there's so much you've been exposed to, literally. And I'm sure
Yeah.
that right now this is where you're at, no? But for example, you weren't doing this one. What would you be pursuing right now, or what do you think is a big opportunity for other entrepreneurs to be doing right now?
Right. To be honest, like if I didn't like my plan was if I didn't, if I wasn't like an Axie, if I wasn't part of a team, I would be creating content about NFT gaming. Like that would be the thing that I would do. Like I want to be like a content creator for NFT gaming, someone who plays and someone who documents and showcases like what's happening in this space. Like if I wasn't here, that's what I would be doing.
Okay, wow. And finally, like I said, but you were an entrepreneur also before during in 2017 you founded your own company, which is a social media academy. And so you've had your own background as a business person, but I think you found your way back into sort of not corporate. I mean, I don't see what you're doing as corporate work technically because it's also in a space where
Yeah.
which you can be passionate about. No, but for the people listening here right now and the entrepreneurs listening, uh, share some. I hope you don't mind sharing some advice, especially now people who are getting into this new world of because you're familiar with crypto, social media, all these different things.
Uh,
What are your three, I guess, quote unquote life lessons in business and in the new normal or in the new social media and crypto world as they get into it?
Right. That's a great question. I think my number one is to show up. Just show up every day. Whether that is through social media or if you're more of an extrovert and you go to these events, whatever it is, like show up. Like the best opportunities happened for me like just because I showed up, right? Like I wouldn't be here. I'd say this is my dream job, I guess. That like there's nothing else I think I'd rather do than what I'm doing now. And this wouldn't have been possible if
Wow.
I didn't show up, right? So I just show up on social media. They and I got noticed first, and then it was that was the start. Number one would be show up. Number two is actually I think it's this one is tricky, but I really just always focused on my strengths. Like if I'm not saying like don't try to improve your weaknesses, but like if you have basically like embrace your strengths and acknowledge your weaknesses, but also like embrace your strengths. And sometimes I think people get stuck in the middle where they spend so much time trying to be perfect on their weaknesses, and they are no longer sharpening the sword of their strengths, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a tendency that as humans or like as professionals we could have. So I guess my thing is like yes, improve your weaknesses, like acknowledge them and try to do something, but don't let go of your strengths. Like repetition is really really important. Like I truly believe that for mastery. And then the third I'd say is well, I just did do something that you love, right? Like I just did something that I love. I love playing Axie, and I created content on Axie, and I added value to the community. So that combination actually got me here. So I'd say do keep doing what you love, and add value in whatever way you could, right? So for me, like I wasn't really a traditional like content creator where I was streaming or doing streaming my games, but I still wrote my analysis. I still did like content that I'm strong at or good at. Then that was still that still kind of benefited me or still did wonders for me. So I think those are the lessons that I that I can share.
Thanks so much, Nix. And just as a little, I guess, since people have been listening to this, thanks so much for the engaging feedback that we're getting in the comment box. Baka maybe some tips also for Axie Infinity players, not necessarily, any things that you can't, no spoilers here or nothing that you can't say, but uh, maybe you can share with them, best practices that they can do to, I guess, either that you've seen for the people who've been successful, who've made a successful quote unquote career out of playing Axie, whether as a breeder or whether as a player. What have been the
Right.
best practices that they can reapply?
I think the best advice that I can give for Axie Infinity players is if you're a player right now, like you just play, right? You play every day. Start to think of what strengths you have as a person, like what other skills you have that you could use and give and translate into helping the community. Because I think the most successful people are not just the ones who play the game, but also have another value add to the community, right? It could be art. You could be an artist. You could be good at Photoshop. That could be a skill that you could bring into this space, right? So go, and once you find that skill, once you find that strength, maybe you're good at building communities. I saw Daryl in the comments. He's a great community builder. He actually built gaming communities in on Facebook. So that's his skill, right? So he's doing that. Could be a you could be an analyst. You could start your own podcast and talk about the different builds and different team compositions that people are using. So once you find that skill, try to use that and go on, like, be active on social media, be active on Facebook, on Twitter, on the official Discord channels, so that you can network with people and you could get noticed by other players and team members as well of Sky Mavis, and then from there, many doors could be unlocked for you. So I'd say that's the advice I want to share with the players.
And then many people are also very, very excited about Axie Origin. Tell us a bit more about Axie Origin. When can we start experiencing the new
Yeah.
Axie Origin?
Well, the target for us is to release Axie Origin this March, right? So there's still, I think, 13 or 14 days of March. I'm not gonna say specifically which date it's gonna drop, but the target, barring any unforeseen events, like barring anything like unforeseen tragedies, God forbid. But the goal is really to ship it out this March. So stay tuned for that. On social, we're definitely gonna announce that everywhere once it's ready. And if you're listening and you have never played Axie before, like watch out for that. That could be your first try and to experience Axie. And if you're a current player, just be prepared to onboard your friends and your family into Axie once Origins out.
Well, thanks so much, Nix and Diego, for guesting here on the RJ Ledesma Podcast. So many great insights, and it was a great crash course for people who want to start off with their own Axie character or play to earn. Watch out for Axie Origin. And before we end this podcast, here's a quick shout out to our friends from Vessel. Vessel PH can help you future proof your business by boosting your digital presence and making sure that you can attract more customers and more sales. If you want to know more about them, please just click on the link that appears in my description. Again, thanks so much, Nix and Diego. Thanks to all those listening here right now. Again, thanks, guys. We will see you in the next RJ Ledesma podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. Thank you. Nick, stay around. Bye, guys.